Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram, and today we're joined by Reece Topley. Reece, thank you very much for your time today.
It's all good.
Let's dive straight into it. Your father played first-class cricket for Surrey and Essex. Was cricket always an inevitability then?
I think it'd have to be because a lot of people don't know that my uncle also played for Kent. So, cricket runs deeply in my family, and any time that I look back to when I was younger, all I can think about was there was a cricket bat or a cricket ball in every room, and we always played. So I guess, from a very young age, I was always sort of pushed that way to cricket, even though there was other distractions like football and rugby. But I think my family really wanted me to sort of follow in everyone's footsteps.
So do you remember your first game, etc.?
Yeah, I think I remember my first game at about 7 or 8. It was a game of terrier cricket at Colchester Cricket Club. I just remember being not as good as everyone else, to be honest. I started off playing a few age groups up, and I think it was a real shock the first game, because you go from softball to a hard ball.
Sure.
It was a bit of a frightening experience because everyone was doing everything so much quicker than me. I stuck it out for that year, and I think I had a lot of fun.
And where did your talent first get spotted? I know you came through the Essex youth system.
Yeah.
Was it through your club side, or was it through your schooling?
I think it's pretty strange, to be honest, from my perspective, is that I played a lot of sports, and then I just remember cricket was I had this pathway that was obviously the Essex youth setup, but I just remember.
Was it through your father's influence?
No, I was just living in Essex, so that was the nearest county. But I just remember it was playing like age groups, and then suddenly I was playing years above, and then I got my opportunity in the second team, and then the season after I got my opportunity in the first team, and it just happened, pretty quickly. It was sort of every year was another step, and I was still at school when I was playing, and suddenly, I was preparing for exams, and then almost overnight it was, well, this is what I do now. And
so how old were you when you first played for the second team?
I think I was 15 or 16, I can't remember.
So around when you did your GCSEs,
yeah,
basically.
And then I think at 17 I got my first team opportunity, and that was off the back of some pre-season friendlies and just bowling all right on the pre-season tour. But I mean, it happened so quickly. And
did you feel ready at the age of 17?
To be honest, I didn't think anything of it. It was just same game but just different opposition, and almost I was a bit naive in the sense that I don't follow cricket avidly. That someone would come out to bat, and to be honest, I just take them at face value, because some people read up on the game and they think this guy's done this in his career and it's unbelievable, whereas I'm pretty naive in terms of the opposition, and but I think that's a strength as well, because it's just
that's youth, isn't it?
Yeah,
you don't have that kind of preconceptions. You just roll with it.
Yeah, no, and I think that was something about being young, but it's something that I found out because I was young. That's what I did, and I think it's actually good. The more you actually get involved with cricket and you play against these people a lot, and you might have someone that performs well against you, but it's good to have that naivety of, well, it's a new day, anything can happen, and what he's done in his career doesn't actually mean much to this innings and stuff. So I think that was not something that I did naturally when I was young, but I've sort of tried to take that forward as I have got older.
So you mentioned at 17 you broke in, but talk me through the incident with Kevin Pietersen.
Yeah.
In 2009. I believe you were the age of a couple of years before, at 15.
Yeah, I think I
were
was 15.
Drafted in as a net bowler, and struck on the.
I was on the ear.
The ear. Talk me through what happened.
Well, so I was helping England.
How did that opportunity first come around as well?
Well, I'd been working in the England sort of youth setup, and it was just an opportunity that England were getting ready for the World Cup, and they wanted some left armers to come in. So there was me and a few others. We came in to sort of help the batsman get used to the angles of a left armour. And I remember I did it for 2 days. I stayed up at Loughborough. I had a really good first day. I think, or to maybe turn some heads or impress some people. And on the second day, did more of the same, and I bowled quite nicely. And I got to my last ball and my spell in the nets. And
your very last one.
Yeah, so one ball away from escaping unscathed. But then I just remember I was going to bowl a Yorker, and Kevin ran down the wicket, and he sort of met it on a full toss and hit it straight back at me, and it was a clean hit on the ear. And I just remember, obviously I was 15, but I was sort of 6'3", 6'4" or something, and I got sent to Leicester Children's Hospital, and all the beds were so small, and I was the only one in there with my feet hanging off the end at 15. But no, it was a great experience those 2 days, and unfortunately that's sort of what those 2 days are sort of remembered for.
And is Kevin Pietersen, I believe, one of your heroes?
Yeah, I mean, you ask anyone my age that grew up watching cricket, that Kevin Pietersen was their hero. He's sort of the man that captivated my generation in terms of cricket, and you can tell that he sort of left his mark, because Sky bringing out all the documentaries about how amazing he was and how great his career was. So yeah, he was definitely a hero of mine when I was growing up, but I couldn't transfer any more batting skills to match his at all. So I definitely looked up to him when I was going through the ranks.
And you mentioned your batting skills there hasn't developed as such as you would have probably hoped.
Nah, honestly, it's tough. You just try hard, but unfortunately I'll have to wear a few, on the helmet or in the chest or something. But I'm just there to stick around for the other guy and try and get him the strike, and he can score the runs.
So moving forward, in 2015, you moved to counties, to Hampshire.
Yeah.
First of all, leaving, the county which you basically developed and grew up, was that a hard decision?
Of course, I mean, yeah, it's always a hard decision because it's your home first and foremost, and you've got your family and friends and a whole support network around you. And moving to Hampshire, it was, I think it was a really good opportunity. I definitely don't regret leaving Essex, because
the opportunity maybe to play more games, better wicket, staffing.
The wicket is a big thing. You play at a test ground, which I think anyone who in the county circuit that scores runs or takes wickets at a test arena holds more value, I think, rightly or wrongly, but I think that is something that does happen. And I mean, Hampshire were a very successful one-day side when I joined them, and I mean, we got one trophy in the one-day competition while I was there. I think the decision to have a back surgery and leave Hampshire was a very good one there.
And in 2015, you also got your opportunity with England. Your first T20 was against Australia, and then followed on your ODI debut. Did you feel again ready at that opportunity, or was it just you just went with it?
No, I did feel ready. It was a really good few months in my career where I actually always even now I look back to when I was 21 and what I was doing so well at that point, as sort of like a reference to know when I am in form and when I'm not in form, and also if I'm having a bad time, I look back to that time when I was playing international cricket, that this is what I need and this is how I feel when I'm at my best. So I mean, I did absolutely feel ready. I was just gutted that I got some injuries towards the last few games that I played, which
you played 10 ODIs and 6 T20s. So for anyone representing their country, it must be a tremendous feeling. It was brilliant, but
I'm definitely looking forward to adding to those. That's one thing that I'm committed, and that's what drives me, is that I played 16 times, but I'm not settling for that. I want more, because there's no greater honour in cricket than to represent your country.
You mentioned injuries, that you were involved in the T20 World Cup. You played a couple of games. So the England team that actually got to the final. You played a couple of games, but unfortunately were dropped for the latter part of the tournament. First of all, the team as a whole getting to the final and going through that whole journey. How was that?
Yeah, it was really good. I think the team did change throughout the tournament, and that, obviously getting to the final, that was for the better. So you can't really complain or look back and regret choices or spit feathers over why you weren't playing, because I was out of the team, but then the results started to come for us, which is brilliant, and that's all you want as a player. You want, you can sacrifice yourself for the better of the team. I wasn't particularly bowling very well either, so I can't remember who came in to take my place, but it was obviously the right decision. And sometimes you just have to sort of man up and take that on the chin sometimes in sport.
And looking on at the final itself, did you guys think it was in the bag before a certain Mr. Brathwaite?
I do remember it. I do remember.
And Ben Stokes getting hit for, what was it, 5 sixes?
Yeah, but that was obviously an unfortunate event. But I mean, if you look where Stokes has gone from there, I do think that there's moments like that in someone's career that do, almost change your career or like define you. And that moment from then, I don't think he's looked back. He's just gone from strength to strength. So I think that's almost harsh, and obviously we didn't want that result. But for his personal point, he's been unbelievable since then. And
I think you came back from that tournament and found that you actually had a stress fracture of the back. So you must have been going into that tournament with a lot of pain as well. Or was that a reason why you said you just didn't perform as well as you would have? Or?
Well, when I got back from that World Cup, it was a bit up in the air whether or not I was going to have some rest or not. But for one reason or another, I didn't have any rest, and I ended up breaking my hand in my first game for Hampshire while batting. And then I had that time off, obviously mending my broken hand. But then, unfortunately, because I didn't bowl for so long because of the hand injury, things that were going on in my back sort of changed, and it's hard to explain that when you're bowling, your body's sort of active and there's all sorts of things going on in your back, but because you're always working it, it's almost like hot, if that makes sense. But then when you stop bowling and you sort of have some rest time, like I did through my hand injury, my back, or this fracture site in my back, got cold. So then it became sort of symptomatic and very painful, which unfortunately led to me missing the rest of that season.
Yeah, so how long were you actually out for in total?
Well, I was out till I started bowling again in December, but unfortunately I had a shoulder injury where I'd torn some tendons in my shoulder, or is it ligaments? Something. I tore something in my shoulder, and I had to have an operation in January for that. But then, thankfully, I didn't miss the next season. So I was glued back together and ready to go for the season after.
And then you moved on to Sussex.
Yeah.
What was your decision making behind that?
Well,
you said you wanted to play at a test ground in Hampshire.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, because of my back injury,
you miss a lot of cricket as well.
But I think if I stayed at Hampshire, I was looking at sort of no way out. In my personal view, I was looking at, I'll never ever get out of this cycle of, trying to come back, then having an injury, trying to come back, and then I was never going to break it. And if you do the same thing over and over again and you expect different results, it's a bit of a...
Do you believe then it was kind of the strength and conditioning coaches at the club?
Yeah.
Or
well, I don't want to point fingers or anything, because it's gone, it's happened. But what I look back quite proudly on myself, and I haven't done this a lot in my career, but like one thing that I've, and it's not to do with cricket, is that how, I took it upon myself to leave Hampshire and then go it on my own, not attached to a county for 6-7 months, and have surgery and get myself right. You know, and I did it.
As a young man, that's a brave move. You know, you know, in terms of like security as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't obviously getting paid, and you know, I did feel like.
Was that your own decision, or did you have people around you kind of guiding you as well?
No, it was my own decision, because I mean, it's tricky, because a lot of people would say, well, surely you'd need specialists. Well, I had specialists, and I had the surgeon working very tightly with me, and he was unbelievable. And so I had the surgery, I think, in August, and then I caught up with him again in December, and he said, look, it's healed, it's done really well. You're not quite out the woods, because that new bone that's formed is quite, it's not as robust as if you'd been bowling for years, and your bone sort of adjusts and gets thicker and grows with it. So I had to sort of be careful about, you know, easing myself back into bowling to make sure that it was hard again, and ready for the rigours of like a county season. So I went to Victoria, and I just bowled at the nets at the Victorian cricket team, which was an unbelievable opportunity, and luckily I had one of my best friends working in the Big Bash as an operations manager, so he managed to sort that out for me. And to be honest, from a point where I didn't know if I was going to play cricket again, you know, going to Australia for those 3 months, it made me fall in love with it all over again, and it made me really care about my next step in cricket again. And you know, I was back bowling with no pain. Whether I was bowling well or not, I didn't really care. It was just the fact that I was playing again, and I was because when I was in pain, you know, I'd struggled to sleep the night before a training session, because I know how painful the next day would be, and I'd get that sort of this anxiety about what I was having to go through the next day. So yeah, it was a horrible time, but I just look back, and that's what I say, I look back and I think how proud I am that I took it upon my shoulders, and I got myself back playing from there, you know, on my own pretty much.
Yeah, a lot has happened in terms of how many surgeries have you actually had in total?
Well, I've only had the one on my back, but you know, I could have had that a few times, because I had so many stress fractures. But the problem is,
how many stress fractures?
So I've only ever had 2. But the problem is they've never healed properly.
Okay.
So I had one, and then it didn't heal properly, and it went again, and I had another one, and this was a different area, and then that didn't heal again. So I've only actually had 2, and you know, it's just disappointing that they didn't, you know, fix the first time round, and then I'd have had so much more playing time behind me, and I had a lot more games under my belt at this point.
So you touched on there, you feared that you might not play again. Was there ever kind of a backup in your mind that you'd fall back on, or was it just something that you were just in the moment?
I honestly don't know. What there was.
So you're a young man. You're only 25 now, so a lot has happened.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm about to start my 10th year in the game. To be honest, I did feel when I was in Hampshire, I did feel that there was times where I was in pain, and everything was going on. I thought I don't want to play cricket. Yeah. I'm done with it, and I came to terms with it. But
so coaching or something was never in the back of your mind as
no, I don't think I'd be a very good coach, to be honest. But I mean, there was times where I didn't want to play cricket just because of how I was feeling in my body, and I'd look at all my friends, and they were a lot happier. But they sort of looked at me and said, well, "You're playing professional sport. You're living the dream." But I wasn't the happiest out of all of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't fall back on something in cricket. I think that once I'm done with cricket, I have other interests, and I'd love to pursue other things.
Okay, so and then going back to your playing, your current playing now, you moved on to Sussex. How do you look back at your time there? Oh, Sussex. You honour the great Australian Jason Gillespie.
Yeah, I loved my time at Sussex. It came about, and it was a very unique situation because, you know, of what I was going through, and to be honest, there was, once I was out of contract with Hampshire, there was other avenues and there was other teams that offered me contracts, but
Any you would care to mention, or
no, I can't. But then what happened is that I think I needed the time alone where I had no pressure, because often when you're employed by someone, they're of the thinking, we're paying you and we're getting no return because you're injured.
Sure.
So like there's a time limit on, or it's like a countdown clock of when you can play again, and if you want to take an extra month to make sure everything's totally right, I did feel it was sort of frowned upon. But so I went down the route of not being paid, and the opportunity at Sussex came around when I was in Australia. And
so what year was that?
That was last winter.
Last
winter when I was in Australia, and Jason Gillespie called me up and he was like, look, there's no rush, you can just play when you're ready. And unfortunately,
did you have people come and see you down there, or was it just you knew your talent from here?
Well, I think a lot of counties sort of viewed it as a bit of a risk to sign me, to be honest, and maybe they did as well. But I had the confidence that I would get myself ready, and I was told once that I wouldn't play 4-day cricket again, and I played 2 games last year, and for me that was a massive victory. And a lot of it's down to the support of the Sussex physios, because I felt they were unbelievable for me. They were really good to work with, and obviously I missed still half the year last year because I wasn't quite ready. I don't think that I could have played, but I don't think I would have given the best version of me out in the middle. So that's why I took the bit extra time, just to make sure that I was 100% going to give the best version of me out on the field.
So then, why did you leave Sussex?
Got to the end of the season, and
so you played 2 county championship games.
Yeah.
You played how many one-dayers?
T20s. Almost all the T20s.
All the
Leaving Sussex, it wasn't an easy choice, because I had obviously.
Was it a short-term contract that
you
had?
I was signed basically till the end of the season, so for however many months, and
was an offer on the table to stay?
Yeah, we were talking about it, but a few days had passed after my contract had ended, and I was sort of waiting. But then I spoke to Alex Stewart at Surrey, and what he put across to me appealed massively, and I think that it was a great match-up of expectations and ambitions as a club, and I think it married up quite well. So that was the thinking behind that move, to be honest.
And you said that your ambition is to break into the England side at some point. You obviously feel that Surrey are the best club to kind of foster that.
Yeah, it's not only that. It's you have to take into account that playing at the Oval for half your games at home is an unbelievable experience. It's probably the closest to an international experience you can get playing county cricket. The setup is renowned to be very good. So I just can't wait to get going there, to be honest.
And you got picked for the 100 as well, the Oval Invincibles.
Yeah.
Was that a surprise to you? I think you were a 60k pick.
Yeah. No, I can be honest, and I don't think this comes across as arrogant, but I went into that. I'd have been disappointed if I wasn't picked, because I think that what I showed this year is that I do still have the ability, to bowl well at the death, bowl well up top. So, I did hope that I was going to be picked, but I was on holiday in Dubai at the time, so I was actually asleep while it was going on. But I woke up obviously and saw some good news.
Messages, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's something that's very exciting. I can't wait to be a part of it, because I think.
I just want to say, there's been a few traditionalists, I would say, not backing it as such, but from a player's perspective, something that you're relishing?
Yeah, who wouldn't? It's gonna. I think it will grow the game just because of the fact that it's going to be on free-to-air TV. So anyone that opposes it, I don't really see the thinking, and I don't think anyone else that that is against it, I don't really see how you can't see the benefits of the more money in the game, and that money can be spent so many different ways. In the grassroots, it can be, the facilities are improved, and also, the county payouts are going to go to the county, so you can actually get first class players that are going to be paid more. So I don't see how it's a bad thing, to be honest, in my opinion.
And you're just going back to your Surrey contract. Is that just a white ball only contract, or is it?
Yeah, it's based around white ball, but there's, I'm not out of contention.
You still want to play red ball?
Yeah,
red ball
100%. And I wanted to play red ball even more ever since I remember sitting down at a table and someone said that they don't think I could play red ball cricket, 4-day cricket again. And then that, for me, I play, or I want to play every red ball game sort of in spite of them. Or like when someone said that I couldn't do it, it makes me really, really want to work hard and obviously do it. So
what is your preferred form of the game then?
I just love all of it, especially as a bowler. I don't think a lot changes. It doesn't matter what colour the ball is or what colour your clothes are. You've got a chance to get a wicket when you're running in. It doesn't matter who the batsman is or what the context of the game is. If you've got a ball in your hand and a wicket in front of you, you've got a chance to get a wicket. So I love, and obviously having missed so much opportunity to bowl, I really relish just running in and trying to get anyone out, whoever it is, and whatever the format of the game, to be honest.
And who's the kind of the best players that you've played with, in your opinion?
Best players I've played with, I'd say the funnest guy to play with makes everything fun is Chris Jordan. He just makes everything. Obviously, he's an unbelievable fielder, great batter, and great bowler. So, playing with him is genuinely really, really enjoyable. But then there's different aspects you can look at it, as in talent-wise. I remember playing against Martin Guptill, and it was a 4-day game, and he was just unbelievable. It's like you have no answer for him, and I remember thinking, this is proper. This is superhuman. But I remember playing against Australia when I was younger, in a tour game, and I think they had Brett Lee and Pat Cummins opening the bowling. And we got skittled, so I came back and had to face Brett Lee and Pat Cummins, and obviously Pat Cummins was a lot younger then, but
so sharp.
He was awesome. And then you had Brett Lee at the other end, who was brilliant as well. But they're the beauty of the tourist games, because you get to compare yourself against people that are on the international circuit.
And in terms of like the best captains that you've been under, who's kind of inspired you, guided you in the change room, etc.? I was fortunate to play with obviously Eoin Morgan as my captain, and he's unbelievable. What is he like? There's a lot said about him, his influence in the 2019 triumph as such, but
he
take me into the dressing room as such.
So he's just a great bloke first and foremost, and then on a cricket side of things, he's just so calm. Like, the ball could be flying everywhere, but you look at him and he's not bothered, because you can wrestle it back. Whereas I think you play with some captains and they show a lot of emotion. If you get hit for a 4 and they start arms going everywhere, it's not good for doesn't look good for the team if the captain's sort of throwing the toys everywhere. But he's never like that. He's always so calm, and he's always got plan A, B, C covered, so he's always prepared. I think it's very simple as well. Everything he talks to you about is very simple, and another thing is that he does listen, which is really good. I remember times where I've run plans with him, and then he sort of says, if that's what you want to do, you're the one bowling it, I'll back you. And I think he's just brilliant, and he's a great cricket mind, and I think they're sort of, when you come across them, you can really see how they affect the game with their tactics and how they want to play the game, and you can see on such a massive scale how meticulous his planning was up to winning a World Cup, the whole journey from the start and then to actually winning it. What a journey that was, and he is very much so responsible for it, and he was unbelievable.
And for the season ahead now for yourself, is it just a case of staying fit, contributing?
Yeah, it's a strange one for me, because my goals aren't in the value of runs and wickets. My goal is just to stay fit or be available to be picked in every game for next season. If I do that, I think I'll do well. But it's difficult for me, because a bowler might sit here and go, well, I want to get 50 wickets next year, or I want to get this amount of wickets next year. But for me, if I'm available for every game, I think the rest sort of takes care of itself. That's been the biggest burden on my short career so far, is being out there not as often as I should be. So I have.
You said in the off season. Sorry, in the off season, previously, you talked about your body being cold, and that's kind of injuries happening. So in this off season, what are you doing to ensure that you hit the ground running as such?
I think the big thing is,
do you have your own program? Are you liaising? Are you working closely with Surrey?
Yeah, well, I'm about to start my first day there tomorrow with Surrey, so there'll be a plan put together. But one thing that I have done, and I think it's been a big learning curve for me, is that sometimes it's okay to do nothing and just rest and let everything recover and whereas when I was younger, I used to just there's 24 hours in a day. Every hour needs to be spent improving myself or getting myself better. Whereas I don't take that outlook anymore. I do value doing nothing and resting a lot more. I've had the last sort of 6 weeks or so off, and I'm itching to bowl again. I'm itching to do something, which is good, and I probably wouldn't have had that before. I'd have been spending 6 weeks trying to get fitter or trying to get stronger or trying to improve. Whereas I think that's one thing I've learned, is that sometimes it's okay just to put your feet up and rest and do nothing. So